Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Panda Phil, and welcome to Toon Talk Live, where we talk about all things Toony and Toontastic. I am so excited about today's Toon Talk Live because we are going to be speaking to the incredible team behind Toontown the Grindworks. If you do not know what Toontown the Grindworks is, you need to check it out because Toontown the Grindworks is a roguelike game that takes Toontown on a completely new story and new adventure where you get to play as a toon of the ones that we love so much and try to think of ways to improve them, take on different strategies, and adapt to different situations that you're faced with based on the toon that you're choosing, but also the cogs that you face and the decisions you make as well. And so it's almost been 1 year since the release of Toontown The Grindworks. And since its release, it has had over 17,000 downloads. And it has also over 1,500 community members on its Discord. And that is just within the year it has been released, which I think is absolutely credible. And it has probably been one of the biggest highlights of 2025 for the Toontown community. And I know for sure it's been a massive highlight of mine as well. And so I am so pleased to welcome in Evan and Lav from the Toontown Grindworks team who are going to join right now. And welcome in, Lav and Evan. How's it going?
Hi.
It's going great. Pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to have you both here. Like I'm always always fangirling a little bit because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the Grindworks part of the Grindworks team, like making the game that I've loved and so many other people have loved. So it's so lovely to have you both here.
No, of course I understand. We're very scary.
I've shared like what Toontown and Grindworks is, but I don't know if either of you want to share a bit more about what Toontown the Grindworks is, if in case you feel like I've missed anything.
I guess the way I would elevator pitch this to any Toontown player is that it kind of does the exact opposite of every other fan project. It's single player, it's fast paced, progression is very accessible. It's a lot of strategizing that you can't typically do in multiplayer settings because, well, you have that battle timer and giving you more tools to work with, more things to account for. We're able to let the player kind of decide what to do with all of that in a more it's easier to do, when you're the one pulling all the strings and you don't have to also coordinate with 3 other people.
Absolutely. I think that's what makes it so interesting. That I remember when the launch, like sort of the release, like the trailer for it came out and sort of the reveal, it was such an interesting moment because I think a lot of people were like, wow, this is a single player game for Toontown. Like that's like, it felt almost unheard of because we're so used to that multiplayer element, and it's amazing to see like how it has become such a well-loved game. And so I guess my first proper question to you is like, what's the story behind its creation? Like, what led you to both being involved in the development of it?
Well, in 2024, I was like really into roguelikes, thanks to the Splatoon 3 DLC side order. Um, I got really into playing that like over and over again. It was very satisfying. And until then, I had not really played really many roguelikes or roguelites. Technically, the Splatoon 3 DLC was a roguelite. Before anyone gets mad at me about that, there's a lot of debate on those terms. And it led me to giving a few more a try, notably The Binding of Isaac, which I ended up. Oh my goodness. Let me go ahead and take a look real quick. I'm currently sitting at 989 hours on.
Wow. That's nice.
So I liked it a little bit. And I really wanted to well, it was kind of stewing in the brain for a while. I had already been moving over to from Game Maker as my primary game engine of choice to Godot. I had already made a Toontown project in Godot as like a little preliminary thing. It was a parody of Slender the Eight Pages, as you might be aware. Um, Slender Cog, and I was kind of itching for something new. Um, I went to Toonfest 2024, and a lot of the excitement surrounding like under new management, as I was on the TTR team at the time, um, got me very excited about kind of messing around with some ideas and concepts for something that you can't really do in a position that like Toontown Rewritten is in, where they've kind of tasked themselves with maintaining the original vibe and ideas surrounding the game. What can I do to shake it up? Luckily, I excel mostly in making single player games. I don't touch multiplayer code all that much. So I got to work on just kind of as soon as I got back from Toonfest, I was kind of like off like a rocket. I had like a demo of the battle system like ready like 2 days in, and I just kind of kept going for 8 months. It was a solo project, and I reached about February, almost February, and I was like, I'm so burnt out. I can't keep doing this. I made a trailer. I'm like, I put like a death clock over myself, like a doomsday clock to say you have to get this done in a month, and that is when um, things kind of sprung into action, and like a bunch of people I never would have expected to reach out were like, "Hey, I want to work on this." Little did they know, the game was a little bit scuffed at the time, and we had to spend 4 weeks turning it from a tech demo into an actual video game. And I'm very grateful that they all put in way more time than should have been necessary for it. But Lav here was actually someone who I reached out to well before the release. I reached out to them for stuff like the logo, and back then, since it was a solo project, I was when I would reach out to an artist or a composer or something, it'd be like commission work, you know. So Lav, maybe you have some thoughts on like what exactly was the experience of hearing about this mysterious little project that I was pitching to you? And I'm curious if, hearing that, were you like, oh boy, here's another Toontown, here we go again, right?
I mean, so it was a mixture of feelings. I felt like I was excited. I was happy to be approached to do a logo for a new Toontown project because last time I had done a Toontown logo um was not that good. So I wanted to redeem myself and I was like, "All right, I'm on this. I'm going to make a really cool logo." But another part of me was like, God, another Toontown project. Um which it makes sense for me because I've been in the community for so long. I think anybody who's been in the community for a while kind of has this sentiment. It's like, oh yeah, we got another project because they crop up and then they die out really, really quickly. Um, but I think my attitude changed when Evan approached me again after the logo had been done to do some nude gag icons, and I was like, oh, this is a thing now. This is a whole like a whole project. This is real. And so and then the trailer dropped and then the public Grindworks server happened and then I got invited to the team server and a whole bunch of exciting things were happening all at once and so it's easy to get caught up in the energy of that. But even after I had been invited to the team server and was like, "Oh, I'd still be willing to commission you for working on the icons or whatever." And I'm like, "No, no, no. Don't pay me. I want to be here. Let me offer my services for free. Let me work on this." And it's just a huge honor and a blessing to be here to be a part of this team with so many talented people.
I think like it's so incredible like how you know, Evan, like you've shared about the amount of time, like, but first of all, like how crazy it is that you had the idea, and a couple of days later you figure out some of the mechanics for it, and then you spent months working on it, but then also having just several people from the Toontown community come in, like Lav, and just have such a desire to like get this project really going, and like to give yourself that month is crazy. But like look what it has become, and even just like in the chat right now people are sharing how much they love the game and how much they appreciate it. So first of all, like on behalf of everyone, thank you so much for coming up with the ideas. Thank you to you and as well as the other team for putting the time in and making it into what it is today. And we all very much love it. So first of all, thank you so much for that.
Oh, absolutely. And I want to give a shout out to Neono in the chat there. I see you. I also see you, DJ.
Hi
Don't think you
Neo.
can
Hi
hide.
DJ. Hi guys.
So I think sharing what they've shared, that love for the game, and we've seen that a lot at the moment in the chat, but also like it shows it's loved so much. But like, why do you think it is loved so much by the Toontown community?
Ooh, I would say that I think the game is a breath of fresh air to a lot of people for a few reasons. I think we've all been in the Toontown community for a while. We've seen projects crop up and die very shortly later because it's difficult to make an MMO, right? And they require constant maintenance. The thing about Grindworks is that it kind of bucked a lot of those trends by just first of all not making it an MMO. Second of all, making it in an engine that hasn't been floundering since 2000 whenever. We still love you, Panda, but you know you're a little dated.
You're not talking
Um,
about me, right?
no, not you, not you, not you, not you, not you. No, 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 no. Um, Panda 3D. Um, and I guess like it's a little different in like the scene of where most projects kind of look at Toontown Online and they think, how can we do this but better? I was kind of in a mindset of like, how do I merge these ideas that are in my brain together into a satisfying little concoction? And I think a lot of people ended up really resonating with the idea of something a little different, something that's not too far away from what Toontown is. You still have the core gameplay. You still have a lot of what makes Toontown Toontown, but something that doesn't require that doesn't have that like social aspect, I guess, that is like half of the gameplay. Something that is more focused on being a game first and not also a social hub, which is still a very important part of the culture. I feel it's just different, you know. Um, and I think it's kind of funny how despite the fact that grind is in the name, there is no grind in the game. I don't think. The progression is very simple and quick on purpose because it's satisfying to open chests like one after the other, getting like more laugh, getting more gags, getting cool little accessories or items that will add on to your move set or give you some kind of ability. It's satisfying and it's fun, and I think that a lot of people really resonated with the idea of having that as like a little um, it's like a little side dish in the community. Like if maybe it's not exactly your thing, maybe it is your thing, and that's like maybe it's your new favorite Toontown. But I think it's a welcomed addition to the community for most people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lav, how about
Just
yourself?
I mean, I'm more or less gonna be echoing what Evan said, that it is a pretty significant shakeup in what we know Toontown to be. Um and it's of course like it was just a huge undertaking because it's not multiplayer, which is like a, a really big part of what makes these games so difficult to run. Um but you know, it was obviously the effort was well worth it. Even just getting a single player experience, it was a very welcome shakeup to the community. And there's many different reasons at least in my opinion, why this ended up being so successful. Like for one, it's a roguelike, and roguelike is just like a set of dungeons. So if you took any other MMO, like WoW, I guess WoW for example, and you cut off the rest of the game, like the social aspects, and you just kept the dungeons. Dungeons being like the various cog facilities, like the factories and the bullions and whatnot. Um, you get a roguelike. And I have often seen the sentiment that like dungeons are the most fun aspect of MMOs. Um, like myself included. I love doing facilities and bullions and whatnot. I'm 100%. I love soloing factories. I'm not ashamed of that. I will not. I'm a believer. I'll tell you what.
Absolutely.
Um, for two, uh, Grindworks being a single player thing means you get to go at your own pace. You don't have to worry about having to collaborate with other people. And sure, like there's certainly a value to that in other ways. But like if you're not really if you kind of get annoyed with how like slow other people are or that certain aspects of the game you're not allowed to play because you have to have a certain amount of people, well then you probably really enjoy Grindworks. I think it's what makes it so cool,
And
so
honestly,
attractive.
if there's anything else that I think would be kind of alluring to the community, it's just and this was the part that took me by surprise as well, and I'm still kind of in shock even a year later. It's what I mentioned earlier is when like people just kind of like came to my doorstep and were like, "I want in." Um, we kind of culminated one of the most ridiculous like groups of like Toontown like veteran devs that we've probably ever seen. I mean, there's people from Rewritten, Clash, and Event Horizon all collaborating on one project. It ended up being like a concoction of all those teams' like best features. I feel, and I think what ended up being really cool about that is just like how we played off each other, how we would take an idea or someone would have an idea that was very in line with like a certain project's design philosophy, and someone else would play off of that and say, hey, well, what about, what if we took it here instead, and we would kind of like scale it, or even like in some cases maybe someone went a little too far and we could scale it back. I think it kind of took a lot of um, it was a lot of compromise in a sense that ended up being very positive and healthy for the team overall for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
we definitely could get caught up in some pretty dumb stuff. I believe we spent like a good hour or two deciding on a new color for neutral anomalies for the Pocket Pranks update. If I'm
No,
if I'm not
no, no, no,
mistaken,
no. It was days. It was days.
days. It was
Because
days.
yeah, it was days. It started with the shapes because we wanted to add like a neutral symbol, and they were like, "Oh, well, look, what if we did triangles?" No, we can't do that because triangle gets used in the anomaly. What if we did a circle? What if we did a square? And then we got the shapes down, and it was like, "Oh, I don't like the colors. I don't like the traffic light colors. Let's change to like blue or orange." And then it
What's wrong
it,
with us?
I, it can be it's a little frustrating. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating to go back and forth on like one tiny aspect of the game that like most people aren't going to pay attention to. But like even even in spite of that, like everyone's unique backgrounds and experiences from being on all of these different projects is what makes Grindworks so it's just cool. It's a really cool game with all our different experiences. It comes into a melting pot of being in Toontown and the Toontown world.
I think that's what I really like about Toontown and Grindworks, is that, I mean, you said it earlier, I mean, it does feel like a breath of fresh air because, we've got the MMOs it has been the big thing. We have Toontown Original, which has tried to maintain sort of what Toontown Online was, and they're now in this interesting place where we're now looking beyond that, but still maintaining that very nature of Toontown Online. You've got like the Corporate Clash, who are also taking on the Toontown Online, but trying to give it a bit of a twist and a whole different approach to it. And you've got Event Horizon, which is doing a whole load of other aspects. And that's not to hate on any of them. They're all absolutely fantastic. But I think what Grindworks just takes a completely different direction and shows us something that like Toontown doesn't have to be an MMO. It has the potential to be something completely different, and it just works. And I love that it's got people from different parts of the community that have worked on different projects coming together to make something just so wonderful and, as Lav said, so cool as well. And so, of all the elements of Toontown the Grindworks, what was your favorite to work on for both of you?
Ooh. Um, so this might come as some kind of surprise, or maybe it won't. But for me personally, I think, and I think a few of our other folks in here, NeoNote would probably also agree, that the most fun stuff to make in Grindworks is probably anything that's actually not turn-based combat. Even though that is like the main meat of the gameplay. If we're talking about like what's the most fun to like conjure, we'll say, stuff like the Molten Mint or the head of security boss fight. Those were really fun to put together and really satisfying to like see the final product for. Uh, Especially like head of security, I was actually like I would say I would say like I kind of marathoned the like the creation of like the baseline for that thing in like maybe a few hours because of I was just having so much fun with it. The liquidator boss, that one took me that one took me a few months because I kept having to go back and fix up some things here and there. But I would say that in general, real time elements, and shout out again to NeoNote for basically strong arming the entirety of the Molten Mint like obstacle rooms. Very talented guy, that NeoNote. We love that guy. And I would say on that point, I think a lot of us also really just kind of like making any sort of like silly little creature, you know? It ties into the whole Grindworks being a breath of fresh air thing, where I think most other games in the Toontown sphere, they focus on making new Toon characters, new Toon NPCs, new cogs, and they don't end up like they don't step out of those boundaries too much. But first of all, I want to just say again, Neonote is a huge powerhouse on this front. Dude just makes like the most perfect little freaks you've ever seen in your life. Um, the stranger was concepted mere days after the game came out and didn't actually see the light of day until like July when we finally started putting that thing together. Um, he also concepted the head of security and the liquidator. Huge shout out to Boots for both like Liquidator and Stranger, like for like modeling, rigging, and animating those two. Head of Security was a combined effort between Neonote concepting, modeling, and rigging, and then Boots, Kelblock, and I am blanking, and I feel really bad about blanking. Pepper Snoop, sorry, doing the animations. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I had to think about head of security who did that one. Pepper Snoop, Kelblock, and Boots did the animations. Um, so I think all of us really like our little freaks, is what I'm trying to say. We like we like the little characters that we've made, and I gotta say, making the the stranger might be our favorite. It may as well be our mascot at this point. We kind of love that thing. I don't know. Just putting the stranger and the stranger shop together was probably the most like fun, like exciting thing that we did, at least from my perspective. And I know that Lav definitely had some fun incorporating the stranger's design into the Masters of Mischief logo,
Oh god, don't even,
right?
don't even. It took that was a whole thing because we were trying to summarize the update, what we were planning, and like what was the most appealing aspect of Masters of Mischief, and we were toying around with different things. Originally, it was going to be like, oh, Chris Pete and Little Omen, But then like we couldn't quite get the logo right. We couldn't quite integrate their concepts into logo, and then we kept talking about it. It was like, oh, I don't know if this is like the most important aspect of the game. What if we switch to the stranger? And so I started working with the stranger a little bit more, and and that it took so many iterations to actually get this logo right. It was kind of a pain, but I also really like how it turned out. I really like that logo. I mean, the stranger is just they're weird. They're really weird, and I like them. We don't even know anything about them. I think it's so funny that like they are our mascot kind of now, but they have like no lore. We don't know anything about them, but they're still so cool. I mean, there's many aspects that I love about working on Grindworks. Um, Logos are a part of it because that's what I'm trained to do. It's what I've been doing for like my whole life. But I also really liked working on the UI, like the strangers trading interface, and like a lot of different status effect icons, and like the head of security meter. Um, Even having the opportunity to explore doing UI in a Toontown project, or really any kind of project, I think UI is so cool. Um, Being able to have that opportunity to learn more about that has been very rewarding. I love being able to do that.
Thank you.
I
And
will say on the
like,
topic of the stranger, at least, we actually we actually have talked quite extensively about uh, quote unquote lore to give it, but Stranger's kind of our wild card in terms of any lore discussions that we've had about the game, um, where we some crazy ideas have been shared, um, and I don't I don't particularly agree with some of them.
you heard it here first,
uh,
folks.
uh, so we have ideas, and we know that they exist. I I'm sorry to. I don't know if they would want me to say who said this, but I personally don't believe that the stranger is a human. Actually, I'm
I don't.
gonna say
I also do not
I'm
subscribe to this
gonna
theory. I don't know.
I'm gonna maybe, but that's the beauty of it, Like the stranger's very mysterious, and like even within the team, we all have our own like thoughts and ideas of what the stranger exactly is. And if we ever decided to like explore it more, we would come up with something concrete that fits in with the grander story at large that we have concocted. But with the way that they are, it's just fun to have like the weirdo who like is completely yeah, like you can't tie anything to them.
Yeah, I think like the stranger just makes me think of like, for me, the stranger is Diglett. Where like you think, what is Diglett the Pokemon, like what is underneath the ground, and like there's some weird theories about that, and the stranger is a similar one where it's like I don't know what the stranger is, but like I love it still. I love the stranger. And it's like one of those things like the stranger being sort of like helping you out, but doesn't really feel like it either. Based on how actually they're just, yeah. I mean, I love the freaks. They're wonderful. They're great. And
Absolutely.
they're so good. And obviously that was like you mentioned that how that was something that you came up with just after it released, and it's sort of sitting in the background. Then suddenly, the stranger plus other concepts came into it as a new element of Grindworks. So what I'm also aware of is that Toontown community love seeing something new, and so we see that with like the different servers that are out there where they want to provide something new each time. Do you feel that there's a certain weight of expectation to keep providing something new to add to Grindworks?
Um, Honestly, I wouldn't say that I feel too much of a pressure to add anything new to Grindworks. The thing is, something I've been kind of grateful about is that I mean, we've definitely had like a few people who seem to like expect more than we are able to give for the game, but for the most part, I think everyone is pretty understanding that this is a volunteer effort. This is a volunteer project, and we don't have the resources to put infinite content into this thing. We have our own lives. We're our own people. We love Toontown, but it's not something that we can prioritize forever. There are some things I do feel obligated to tackle someday, maybe like if there was ever a push in the team to tackle the alternate DA office floor, I know I would probably do that if we wanted to. Um, that sounds very fun. Especially, I have some funny ideas for that, anyways. But on the whole, no, not really. I think that the community has been relatively accepting. I've seen like several people say like, "Hey, the game feels complete. If you guys want to like just like say, "Hey, we're good." Uh that's totally fair. And I think that that's like a good place for the community to be with us because we love the game, but we don't like it. We're not gonna be here working on it forever. You know what I mean?
I think that's a really good way to look at it. I think it's you are volunteers in it, and you have your own lives around it and outside of it. And I think it does feel like a complete game. It doesn't feel like it constantly needs something new. It's just so good in itself. So let's say that you are having some time off from working on Toontown the Grindworks, and you figured, oh, I'm going to play the game itself rather than designing it. You're both about to jump onto the game. Who is your go-to tune and why?
Ooh. Well, I think the obvious answer would be Mystery Tune, but that's cheating because obviously the tune that gives you a random starting item and pocket prank is and random stats and everything is gonna be that's gonna be the one that you have the most in terms of like differences between runs. So I'm gonna choose someone different, right? I think that all of our tunes kind of stand on their own. I think except for old Bessie, the very old Bessie that I had implemented. Thank goodness we changed that one into a completely different idea. Um, I am also, I would maybe say Mozart initially, but I also, I kind of wish that Disney didn't make battle movies take a millennium, and then I also kind of wish that I had maybe changed that a little bit. Mo is actually the reason we have the battle speed thing, the setting to change that because if you had to play Mozart at 1 time speed, no. Otherwise, I would maybe say Weezer or Flippy if I want like a typical like standard run. Maybe Pete. Pete is kind of a front runner these days, and I think the recency bias has maybe worn off. But that is that's what I would say like if I had to choose one. If I had to choose one, maybe Weezer. I think the crit gameplay is very satisfying.
What are you on about with it? Oh, battle movies take a millennium. You program the game. You have the
I
power.
recreated Disney's battle movies. It's their fault.
You could have made it shorter. You could have done any. You could have done any. No, whatever. I don't want to argue with you.
Whatever. What are you
Whatever.
gonna pick? What are you gonna pick?
I'm picking Mo. I'm picking Mo because I'm bad at games. Because I'm just gonna get hit constantly, and Mo thrives on getting hit constantly. That's my pick, Mo.
I
Fair
mean,
enough.
I'm still trying to complete him because I'm so far behind, but I just enjoy like going at my own pace. But Julius Weezer I just love the concept of it and the strategy. It's great. So I'm a Weezer fan completely. So as we are about to hit your first anniversary, what are your hopes for the game past year one?
So, I'll be fully candid on this one. Um, as I've mentioned, I didn't expect the game to have the staying power it's clearly had. Um, and when I first started working on it, I expected it to maybe get like a little more attention than something like Slendercog did. That was something I made and released with very little fanfare. I put like a little video up on like my socials, and it got like some attention. Some people thought it was cool, but it was stuff I was doing like purely for learning purposes for the most part, but then also some fun. Um, when it came to Grindworks, I wasn't expecting it to balloon the way that it did. and balloon it did, right?
Yeah.
It expanded further and faster than I could have ever possibly imagined. And to be honest with you, right now we are currently in a post Masters of Mischief hiatus. There, unlike after Pocket Pranks, there's not like something that's like cooking in the background, and there hasn't been for a few months. The game development has mostly been myself since then, pushing some small maintenance, bug fixes, balance changes, because I still love the game. I still have ideas for how to improve it here and there. We're releasing a little update on the anniversary that's going to include some cool little features, a new item, whatnot, and it's something that I don't know if we'll ever like fully like drop. I never want to say never. I never want to say that we'll never do another big update, but for now, we are taking an elongated break because we sorely need it. I mean, me especially. I spent 18 months working like 40-ish hours, 60-ish hours a week working on Toontown the Grindworks. I've been taking the last few months to just kind of like chill out on that so I don't completely burn myself out for the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Um, and I mean, uh, while we are on this hiatus, and even if we decide to go our separate ways, a lot of us in on the team, we want like careers in like the game development space, and Toontown is not really a career builder, so it's more of a hobby, and we love working on it, but if you want a career, you got to look elsewhere. So of course, a lot of us have been talking about different projects, right? And I think that even in the wake of that, in the worst case scenario where we never work on it again, which I'll still be here. We'll still be here to some extent, still doing little things here and there, even if it's not major stuff. Um, I would love to give a shout out to the modding community for the game, because the modding community is they're a little ridiculous.
They're amazing. They're
Yes,
crazy.
absolutely. I want to specifically shout out like some projects like Green Folio, the Endless Mode, Fight the Foreman, stuff that adds even more depth to the game than what we did. I think the fact that people are passionate about the game enough to create these mods, and like, it's very touching. It makes me feel very warm about it, Um, and we've even seen some crazy stuff like people using the base repository for Grindworks to make stuff like a full-on like tactics game, like a grid-based tactics game. Just yesterday, I was seeing that same person like figuring out how to import like the weird like street models that use like .xml files into the Grindworks engine, which um, well, the Grindworks engine. It's good to have it. You know what I mean? It's very inspiring. I don't even know how to do that. I wouldn't even know where to start on that one. But either way, the door is always open for us, I guess. Is what I tell the team. The door is never closed. If we ever feel like banding together and making something big again, we can do that. Like we have no pressure on us to do it. This is a for fun project, and we'll just do it when we'll do whatever we want. And if we ever feel like taking up the mantle of another major content release, I'm curious, Lav, if there's anything from continued Grindwork support that you'd want to see, not necessarily like gameplay, especially because like I don't think game design is typically under your purview. What would you like to see from that?
Um, I I like the lore. I like the world. I'd probably want to see more lore building. Um, like maybe in the form of comics because I really like comics. I like doing like the promo images that I did for Grindworks before it released like last year, um, in that kind of style, I would love to do more of that. I don't know if we'd ever get the opportunity to. We've certainly been in talks. But yeah, that's about it,
Yeah,
honestly.
I think something that I'm kind of comfortable sharing at this point is that at one point we were going to start sprinkling lore into the stranger shop, um, with some newspapers that we were going to maybe look into, having you or maybe Eden kind of throw together. But plans kind of fell through with release dates being a little too close for comfort. And we didn't end up going through with that, but I would still love to do stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Uh,
like, it's, yeah, I think that's so cool. I know people are already talking about how much they'd love to read a comic.
Absolutely. That is something that I would love to see if it was ever possible. You know what I mean? Um, it's something that we'll have to talk about on our own once we reconvene, I suppose. Well, I mean, we're always around, but I would say, um, for the most part, if I had to choose something, first of all, it would definitely be the DA office alt floor. My other thing would be I would love at some point to be the only Toontown project to this date, as of this, or to buck the trend of Toontown Online and cut the under construction stuff. You know what I mean? We put a painting in the executive office. I'll acknowledge it. There's something there. I'd love to realize what that is.
What is that? I don't know. That's crazy. That's weird. How'd that get
It's
there?
actually my face edited in Photoshop, not real though.
Oh, I mean, you've both done absolutely amazing with it, and the rest of the team have as well. I mean, yeah, you both all of you deserve definitely a break from it. But like again, I want to say thank you so much for creating something that's been such a wonderful joy to so many of us in the Toontown community. So honestly, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to say to the Toontown community?
I want to just say thank you so much for all of your feedback, all of the love that you've given us. Um, it's been overwhelming, if I'm being honest with you, uh, because again, I wasn't expecting anything like this, and I am very thankful that people enjoyed the project to the point where they uh, really um, just loved playing it. They loved seeing it come together. And I'm very thankful for anyone who pitched in whatever way they could have, whether that's contributing to the community via like art or like speed running or modding, or just like creating custom cogs. That's like a whole angle we didn't really touch on. There's like a whole community of people who make like custom cogs, and they've like engineered like weird ways of getting around, like adding in like completely different models for cogs, and I don't I like it's scary stuff. Um, but it's the support that the game has gotten is really awesome, and I love to see it, and I'm very grateful for all of you in the community there.
Lav, how about
Yeah.
yourself?
I really, there's nothing there that Evan hasn't already said. Like, thank you so much for making the for adding so much to the fandom. It's just it's incredible. You guys keep this fandom alive. This is what like Toontown is. It's I'm kind of speechless. I don't really know what else can be said except thank you for loving the game and for contributing your time and your energy to making to making mods or making fan art and making videos or speed running. Just any of that is more than what we could have asked for. So genuinely from the bottom of my heart, thank you.